Hello again, I'm back, and this is going to be a short video. Hopefully it's short enough to be on the shorts, showing you a couple of tricks I've learned that I'm surprised some people I've worked with have been doing this, do it for a living, don't know these tricks. So one of them is I have this 5-gallon bucket of resin. It's heavy, it's hard to deal with, and I just need to fill up a container. So what I do is I go ahead and open it up, and then I set it on its side. Then I get the container that I want to fill and I put it right here. And then what I do is I rotate this until the resin starts coming out of that edge. Once it comes out, I will fill up my container. It takes 2 hands, otherwise I'll show you. I fill up my container to the mark. I already know where the mark is, right there. So I fill it up to that mark. When it gets close to it, I rotate it back the other way. It slows down the flow, and I can do it precisely if I need to. This isn't rocket science. That's 2 cups to that mark, and you put in the right amount of hardener, and it works. Similar thing here. Most people would take this and when it's full and pour it out this way and make a mess. Don't. Take it this way, put your piece underneath it, like right here, and then lean it this way until it starts coming out, and you can tilt it so that your container is in the right spot. What other thing is, I'm probably running out of time if I haven't already. This helps a lot. I need to get, temperatures cause that to come up there. I need to get 5 cc's to 10 cc's of this to mix with the 2 cups. So you put this stuff in the bottom and you squeeze it, and it comes out of an opening up there. And you can see the marks. They're kind of hard to see, but there's marks there that tell me the amount to put in. It beats pouring this stuff into another container and then using a little. They give you a little cup thing with it. It's a pain in the butt. This makes it so much easier. I do use these plastic containers because the resin does not stick to them. So the advantage is after overnight, the resin inside hards, and you can literally peel it out and reuse the containers. After a while, they get fiberglass on them and get to be a mess. Just throw them away, assuming that you eat cottage cheese. That's something that I eat, so that's not an issue. Finally, I get this box of cloth-like rags. Paper towels just aren't strong enough. I hate to use real rags and ruin them with fiberglass resin, so this stuff is kind of like an in-between. I also use those blue shop towels, but they tend to fray more so than these. So my paint guy suggested these. I got them. They work great. To stir, I just use a piece of wood, anything, paint stir stick or whatever. I usually use a cheap spatula that I get at Dollar Tree. I just don't have it right here. I forgot to get it when I got supplies for up here. I buy these by the case. I think there's 96 of them in the case. That's what I use to spray my gel coat and fiberglass resin. I have a multi-tool that I use to cut with. If you use this, make sure you get the tungsten carbide blades. The fiberglass eats these wood blades up in like no time at all, even hardwood ones. So at the end of the day, that blade would be dead. I've used these for like months, the carbon ones. Speaking of multi-tool, here's my multi-tool right here. Got a cordless one. I've had a corded one, a fine, for like decades, but I like the cordless one better. Anytime you want to fill a gap, use this Luminized tape. This kind is thin. This happens to say it's for dryer vents. They have some other that has like a rubbery material. It's a lot thicker. It works well for filling gaps. This works good for making flat surfaces. The advantage is that the fiberglass doesn't stick to that. So you can wax it if you really want it to not stick to it, but you don't have to, so it's 6 of one, half a dozen other. Sharpie. I use a Sharpie to mark my pieces, because I will cut this out to shape and make all my relief cuts and all that, and then as I'm laying it up, I'm going, okay, which end is up, which end's right, which end's left. So I go ahead, lay it out. What I do is I mark the edges where the corners are. So I know that when I put that in there, that green line at the bottom should fall right into that corner right there. So the same thing on the top. There's the opening, the edge of the opening right there. There's the back edge right there. So I do that enough so that I can align pieces. The reason why is, like I said before, I do everything in little sections. So I put a bunch of little pieces together, and it's easier than trying to cut one. I could cut, let's say this opening right here. I could have cut a piece exactly matching this opening. Instead, I did a piece that came up and went up a little bit here, piece that came up here and did that. They meet in the middle. It's twice as thick in the middle where they overlap. I don't care. It's a mold. All right, anyway, I just want to show you some of the tools that I use. Everything's cheap. My whole goal is to do everything cheap as possible. One other thing, razor blades. I've got one of these scrapers, razor scrapers, a box knife too, X-Acto set. If you catch the resin and fiberglass before it hardens completely, you can cut it with a razor blade easily. I do have, obviously, scissors, cheap scissors. They will get nasty. Something that helps, rubbing alcohol right there actually is the least expensive thing I found that will clean up the resin and fiberglass, as long as it doesn't get too hard. Once it gets too hard, that won't work anymore. You have to use something like lacquer thinner or acetone or whatever. All right, the other thing is I make sure I have surfaces to sit things on, because like after I finish up using one of these, I've got a brush, I need to set everything down. This works good for sitting the brush down. I can use a brush like all day long. So when I'm done, I'll set the brush down on there so it doesn't make a mess. I need a place to set this down. I'll set it right here while I'm working. Again, I'll put down the fiberglass, I'll put down the resin, put down the fiberglass mat, and then work the more resin into it. When I'm done, I've got to go grab another piece of fiberglass mat. I don't wear gloves. I probably should. I suggest you do. I just have gotten in the habit of not doing it. But what happens is, once you touch the resin and you touch the fiberglass mat, you're going to end up with little hairs of fiberglass all over your hands. So it gets annoying. Same way with the scissors. The scissors, at the end of the day, they're covered like furry scissors or whatever. All right, I think that's got it. Missed my 1 minute by a long shot. But anyway, just wanted to update you. Oh, and of course, cardboard. I save cardboard boxes. People give me a hard time. Why do you have all these old cardboard boxes? Well, for stuff like this, because I don't want to get this thing covered with resin and fiberglass or gel coat or whatever. So just anything to protect the surface so that you don't mess it up. All right, like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks, and if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know jack. Bye.